It's the Rockingham Radio Network. Curtis Duncan with you, and we have a guest today. He is Sherman County Sheriff Burton Pianalto. Sheriff Pianalto, nice to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Beautiful weather, and I love the rain.
Hasn't this been the best thing?
Yes, it has.
My goodness, makes the roads muddy, but that's we'll take it.
Yes, we will.
I think a lot of the drains and culverts are plugged up with tumbleweeds and dirt, and they're not allowing some of this water to go through, but it's just great to see it puddle up and be with us. So what a story.
Yeah, it's basically also the wheat is being helped a lot right now. It's a critical time. Just keep it coming so we have some good harvest.
Well, it sounds like the next couple of days are going to be good for us. We want to talk about several things today with you on the Rockingham Radio Network. The Department of Justice Drug Enforcement Administration, we know that there are lethal doses of pills out there, fentanyl. Let's talk about this. Sheriff, what is fentanyl and why is it so deadly?
Fentanyl is a very good opiate used for surgeries. It's a dissociative drug. Basically, from what I understand, it separates your mind from your body, but the problem is that it produces an intense high. So drug dealers have started putting fentanyl along with every drug you can think of, even with marijuana. They're lacing fentanyl with opiates that they're counterfeiting now, and the amount of pills they're putting across are creating an epidemic in the United States that's just growing exponentially every month.
Do we have fentanyl problems in Sherman County in this area?
Yes, we have. We've had, I know, 3 in the jail that, best way to describe, one of them I kind of nicknamed, one was a wall walker. Basically, because his brain's been dissociated from his body, he walked into the wall multiple times until his face was bloody. And you can't do that. If you try to walk into a wall, you're going to put your hands up and try to protect yourself. And then I had a head knocker. Basically, he'd slam his head in the wall until it was bloody, and he needed stitches. But it's a drug that's very powerful and very small dosage. The amount that fits on the end of a pencil, the point of a pencil, is enough to actually kill you. And it doesn't take very much. I actually carry, and all my deputies carry, Narcan to help counteract that, because it also can be absorbed through the skin. If we come in contact with it when searching a car or something like that, then deputies and law enforcement across the nation have just dropped dead because they've touched it. So we carry Narcan, which can basically be administered by a civilian or anybody to help counteract that.
What does it look like? What do we look for?
It's a white powder. Looks like powdered sugar. Depending how it's processed, but most of it's come in through powder. It can be put into a brick if it's a large quantity. Small county in Ohio, about smaller than actually Sherman County, just seized 2 pounds of fentanyl. That's enough to kill over 100 million people. So it's quite a deal. 2
pounds is enough deadly fentanyl to kill over 2 million people.
Right, 100 million.
100 million.
Yeah, 100. It's a lot. I mean, you don't realize. Look at the point of your pencil, and you dip that into powdered sugar and pull it out, and that's enough to actually kill you.
That is just frightening.
Right, it is. And the sad part is they're putting it in counterfeit pills, and the amount of counterfeit pills coming across the borders is just alarming. A few numbers that I can throw out, and the amount of counterfeit pills is from last year to this year. Let's start with 2019. 2.6 million counterfeit pills came across the border. 2020, 6.8 million. 2021, 9.6 million. And so far just the month of January in 2022, to over 20 million. I mean, that's a 400% increase of what's coming across. And that's what actually we've seized. That's what law enforcement has seized. And think about we seize probably less than 1/10 of what comes across, even smaller than that. But it's just the amount of counterfeit pills coming across are just alarming. And those pills can look like prescription pills. Some of the common ones that they do are Xanax, Adderall. A lot of people take Adderall, and there's counterfeit Adderall pills out there. Only place to get safe pills is through the pharmacy. If you order them online, and that's the thing about these counterfeit pills, anybody can order them online with a phone, computer, and have them delivered to your door. Is that illegal? Yes.
Yeah, and in unmarked packages, and probably at a lower price.
Oh, much lower price. But the problem is you think about this. One of the big ones that they sent across is oxycodone. It's 30 milligram tablets. You can't tell them apart. Actually, the counterfeit look better than the real pills at sometimes. But the threat is just enormous because, like I said, the only safe place to get it is from the pharmacy. If you get one of those pills, you don't know. And they're making these pills in cement mixers. And think about that. If they're trying to get this dosage that fits on a pencil, a tip of a pencil, then how are they going to get that accurate? And that's creating a very dangerous situation.
That is absolutely horrible. How do your deputies handle this if they come across this? I know you're probably wearing protective gloves, but do you have to put more gloves on? How do you take care of this?
Well, most of the time we do gloves, and if we suspect fentanyl, especially the powder form, we'll put a mask on. We do everything we can to protect ourselves. Like I said, it can be absorbed through the skin. If someone like drops a bag of it and powder comes up, if you breathe that'd be deadly.
My goodness. What about drivers that are transporting this? Do you think they would be on this? How could you drive a car and be on any part of this fentanyl?
They do it. One of I think my head knocker, if I remember right, he was arrested off the interstate because he's driving the wrong way on interstate. It's just like any other drug. They drive under the influence of drugs. The same thing. They're dangerous, just like someone that's drunk.
I noticed the DEA has a lot of good information there's out there, and it's good information. Go to DEA.gov/1pill, and that's they spell the word out, ONE, DEA.gov/ONE pill. And that is got a lot of information. Department of Justice, Drug Enforcement Administration. Is there extra funding to help departments like, the Sherman County Sheriff's Department and police departments to help combat this and to put extra people out to be on the alert?
Actually, no. Right now we're starting a Project Opiate. It's a nationwide project. We're trying to partner with local communities and organizations to try to help get this message out. One thing to look at is the program's actually One Pill Can Kill is what they're trying to get the message out. I want to add a little bit here is the 200 million pill, or 20 million pills they seized in January. They started testing them all, and they're finding that 2 out of 10 of those pills have a lethal dose in them. And people ask, well, why are they doing that? It says, well, it's lethal to normal human beings, but if an addict takes it, it probably won't kill them because they have some immunity built up. But the hook factor of fentanyl, if you take it a couple times, it hooks you very quickly. So,
is it expensive to buy?
Oh, it's much cheaper to buy the counterfeit pills. That's why they sell so much. One thing parents and guardians need to know about, they actually have their own language of emojis. Go to One Pill Can Kill campaign and search the emoji drug code. Like basically, drug dealers are use cookies to emoji of a cookie to show that they have a large batch available for sale. And then there's different things of what drug you want. It basically shows all the different emojis that go to the website and it'll show you those emojis.
Well, there's a couple dozen here.
Yeah.
Reference guide there. One Pill Can Kill. That's really scary. Is there one age group other than another age group that is affected by this?
Not right now. I mean, it's getting into the high schools. We actually had one drug dealer that we've taken down that is dealing in fentanyl. But it's going to become more and more prevalent the more they push it across the border. No community is going to be too small to be a victim of this. So everybody needs to educate themselves, be aware of what's going on, and how to combat it. And I believe there's three-pronged approach. We can do law enforcement, which we can't do it ourselves. Then we can do education. That's what I'm key on. I try to talk to the kids all the time about it. And that's where we need to educate the whole community about this problem and attack it as a community. And then there's treatment. We need to get the treatment to those who've been affected.
We'll also be hearing on the Rockingham Network the ads and preventative measures information from your department and others about this to alert them, because it's just would be something that maybe years ago you think, oh, that's big city stuff, that won't bother us in western Kansas, eastern Nebraska, and southwestern Nebraska, south Colorado, in those in our tri-state area, and it is.
It is, and it's here. It's here already. And I'm going to talk about rainbow parties, and a lot of parents don't know about that. One of the biggest drug dealers in the nation is Grandma and Granddad's medicine cabinet. From legal opiates and illegal drugs, the kids would actually obtain those from aunts, uncles, or grandparents, and then they'd have a party, and they'd all put their pills in a bowl. And then they take that one pill out, and they take it that night. They don't know what they're taking. If someone orders some of these fake pills and puts them in a bowl, our children are very vulnerable. You think that doesn't happen in Sherman County? I've had kids tell me about those parties going on. So be aware. We live in a wonderful community where everybody looks out for each other, and that's what I'm hoping to capitalize on is that we can kind of stop this and educate our children and show them the dangers of what could be happening.
Is it still the case if you see something, say something?
Yes, and I've had a lot of people. I've talked to a few groups, and I've had people come and talk to me about stuff that they see, and sometimes it's innocent. I'd much rather tell me about 10 different innocent things, and we catch one drug dealer or something bad happening, then I want to hear about it. Being
a sheriff is a lot different than it was a number of years ago, isn't it?
Oh, yes. The problems facing our community are growing and alarming, and basically I believe my job is to help stand up and to help protect our community the best we can.
You said you visited with a lot of different groups. Are you available pretty widely to visit with other groups, even 4 or 5 people or 30 or 40? How can they visit with you on that?
Just contact the office, say you want me to talk. I don't care how big of a group. If it's a small group, large group, I want as many people to learn about this as they can and what they can do to help stop it and to help combat it, because like I said, it's going to take the community to kind of look out for each other, and we're going to have to get some treatment in here in Sherman County to help those that have been exposed to it and already hooked on the drug.
How do the hospitals stay up with all this?
Same thing. They're becoming aware of it just as law enforcement is. It's being pushed out really hard since January. I'm also the Elks Drug Awareness Program chairperson for the state, and we were contacted as the Drug Awareness Program in January to help with this, and so the Elks have been working with that, and I'm going to talk a little bit about next week. We're actually bringing a national speaker into the state of Kansas, and he's going to talk in Goodland is one of the places. His name is Ray Lozano, and he's going to talk about opioids to the children and try to get that message out. He's a very dynamic speaker, educator. He talks about the facts of what goes on and teaches the kids. His philosophy is if he can teach one child or one young adult what to do and make good decisions, they can help impact their friends and their family, and it'll grow from there.
Where will he do this and what time?
I don't. He's going to be in 3 different towns. He'll be in Goodland, Russell, and Colby. And the times are varying in each time, but he's going to be talking to the high school all the way down to kindergarten of each of the areas.
Okay, good. I'd like to be in on one of those to hear what he's talking about, kind of be in on that.
In Goodland, it's actually, I'll share that one. It's going to be 9 to 9:50 at the high school. Then junior high is going to be 10 to 10:50, and then kindergarten, 4th grade is 1 to 1:50.
Okay.
It's not really open to the public.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, if
And you said,
come,
and this is coming up what day next week?
this is actually Monday, the
Monday.
9th.
Okay. And he said also be in the Colby schools
Right.
and Russell schools.
Right.
Okay. All right. So, but as you say, it's not, a big public thing. They're going to focus on the kids.
Right.
I could understand that. Ray Lozano, drug and substance youth speaker. Learn more about that. Go to raylozano.com, LOZANO.com, raylozano.com. Very interesting speaker. I like the pictures. Looks like he's really heavy into getting this information out.
Right. And he's an educator as far as scientific knowledge and how it affects your body and what it does to your brain. And I use a lot of his techniques when I do my presentation, because I believe if a young adult or child has the right information and the knowledge, they will make the correct choice of not to do the drugs. You can tell someone not to do a drug, but the problem is why not to do the drug. And his message is based off of that, why not to. A lot of his presentations can be counted as actually education credit, so that kind of says a lot about his speech.
Yeah, sounds like it. Again, raylozano.com, raylozano.com. You could look at that and learn more about him. Maybe have him visit you, but right now we've got him in the schools, and that's where he needs to be.
Right.
Yeah. What about your training? Are your officers getting extra training in this fentanyl situation as it continues to grow and bad pun, not intended, mushroom?
Yes. That's a big thing is first of all, we started training on how to handle it, what to do, how to protect yourself. But then also we did the first aid training on the Narcan to help aid and first came out was for the drug dogs, was actually how it first came out, but now it's gotten to the point where a lot of law enforcement has actually just fallen over dead at the scene. And so now we carry Narcan, all my deputies carry Narcan to counteract that.
Now, for those that don't know what that is, explain that to us and how it works, sir.
The one that we have is a nasal injection, and basically it counteracts an opiate. So it'll work with any kind of opiate overdose, a pain pill. When I say opiates, it's your natural pain pill. And when it put into the nose, it absorbs through the nose, and it basically will counteract that. And sometimes it'll take 4 or 5 doses, but if you can get them 1 dose to help stop the death right away, and then when another deputy or EMT show up, they'll usually have more Narcan to counteract that opiate.
Yes, a lot of people are having to learn more about this.
Right.
And is it a type of a deal where it seems like every month there's something new that you have to learn and put in your mind and know what to look for?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the world's changing fast, and a lot of things are coming to the surface that had been hidden for a long time. The trafficking of drugs is just enormous. The amount of methamphetamines and stuff coming up through Mexico is just alarming. But yeah, we have to stay up to date on all of our trainings to try to make sure we're staying alert of what's happening in the current trend, especially with this opiate. The counterfeit drug is something a lot of people didn't understand. One thing I might mention is we did make headway because opiates was being overprescribed, and that became abusive. And I was looking at some statistics lately that the number of prescriptions have actually started to decline in opiates. So that education's worked in the last 10 years of declining the amount of opiate abuse, because when it's overprescribed, then people tend to abuse it, and it's a naturally abusive drug. You get addicted to it.
Yeah. Okay. Did we cover all that pretty good right now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's share with the listeners the free Community Shredfest you've got coming up May 14th. You've done that for a couple of years. Did you get that done last year? I can't remember.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tell us what this is and why you're doing it.
Part of the problem about protecting our community is protecting your personal information. And I started this, I want to say three years ago. But it's been such a popular event. It used to be they used to shred the documents on site, but because of the company, the underground vault storage that does that, for their government rating, they can't do that because they have to guarantee, the way they explained it to me is they have to guarantee that every bit of the document is going to be destroyed to have their government rating. Well, if you shred it here on site and one little sliver flies off, then you can't guarantee it's being destroyed. So what they've changed it to is they lock it into a container. Once with law enforcement there, we basically put it in a container, they lock it up, they drive it back to their sealed facility where they drive it indoors, and then they shred it in that location there.
Okay, so there's no question that it will be shredded 100%. It's gone. That's
right.
it.
And that's where, with their government rating, to classify it as to work for the government, they have to have that rating. So basically, that's why they changed to not shredding it on site.
And that's Sunday or Saturday, May 14th, from 10 to noon at the Walmart parking lot in Goodland. Is there a limit on how many boxes or bags people bring in?
Yeah, it's 7 boxes or bags. I mean, honestly, as long as you don't overwhelm me with stuff, it's basically the boxes and bags. There's no size on how big they can be, but we have to move them. So just kind of keep that in mind. I end up paying by pound, but I'd much rather pay a large amount and have people's information secured. One thing to go through is you don't need to shred everything. You want to shred things with your name, your address, your social security, your date of birth, anything with personal information on it. So you can, if you can, go through it and eliminate some of the stuff that doesn't have your name on it or something like that. Most of the time, like your tax records. I mean, I cleaned out, my wife cleaned out. I didn't do anything. My wife cleaned out our closet, and we did like 5 boxes of several years. I think we had it clear back to when we got married.
But it's gone now.
It's gone now.
Can't prove it. Well, that'll be, and it's free.
Yes. That's one thing I think it's one of the things that I provide to the community, that in hopes that we can make people's information safe. Because in today's world, I tell you, when the fraudulent phone calls that we get 2-3 times a day, I'm pretty sure everybody's getting them. Be careful on that, because if you give out any information, they start to build it. It's like putting a puzzle together. They may call you and get your date of birth or your month of birth one time, and they might get more information. Also, your Facebook and social medias, be sure what you share on that information, that you're not giving your personal information out.
Well, another little trick too, and I noticed this, and you really got to be careful, as you mentioned, Sheriff. You'll get something on Facebook. What was your first car you ever owned, make and model? Boom. Somebody's got that. That also can be an answer to a security question.
Right.
From you.
Right.
I thought about that. Or what was your high school? And it's just so tricky. There's some pretty big minds out there.
Well, they're putting that puzzle together. And like you said, like a lot of your security questions. What's your first car? What's your first address? Where do you live? A lot of these information, they're just call you to ask you off the wall questions. Sometimes you just answer them. A common one that's kind of been happening is the grandchildren calling. They look through the profiles, try to find some elderly people that have grandchildren, and they'll say, "Hey, Grandma," and immediate response of Grandma and Grandpa is to say, "Is this Bobby?" They don't know who it is. And all of a sudden, yeah, this is Bobby. And they become whatever name that you say. So they got a piece of your puzzle. And also on your Facebook, I love looking at Facebook, but the thing is if you post a picture of your grandchildren and put their names, they got that information.
Well, I'm guilty of that. That's a good point. Good point. So many things.
So many things. And in today's world, it's so sad that I wish they'd pass that law to help law enforcement to crack down on the fraudulent phone calls and the text messages. I mean, I'm getting text messages probably one a day at least of some fishing expedition. That's what they're doing. It's called phishing, and they're trying to fish for information about you and build enough information about you that they can hack into one of your accounts.
One big thing is, and we only have about a minute left, is for the caller to ask you, can you hear me?
Yeah.
And you say yes. And so then they have a yes that they can record. That's already recorded, yes. Because they tell you we're on a recorded line. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I hear you. Yes, I do. Boom, they've got you. And they can use that little clip, yes, to go on other sites. So
right. And they can charge you, and they'll usually use it with your phone card or your phone company like Verizon or something like that, and say, I got authorization to charge, and this is a recording of yes. And they just piece it together. Say, I authorize you to charge me $15 a day or $15 a month, something like that.
It's scary. Be careful. If you have any questions, just hang up.
Yes.
And if you don't know, I am to the point. And if you call me and your name doesn't pop up, I'm sorry, I'm not going to answer.
Yep. They can always leave a recording.
Yeah. Or if even nowadays, even trickier, it looks like a local call, and you think, oh, it's a local call. Yep. It's an 821 or an 899, and you answer and.
Yes, and that's called spoofing.
Spoofing.
They spoof the number and basically make it appear as whatever they want.
Sad. Well, thank you, Sheriff Burton Pianalto, for being with us and giving us the latest on the fentanyl drugs, lethal dose that can kill you. Just enough on the sharp end of a pencil, and goodbye, Ned.
Yes.
Or anybody.
Educate yourself. Go to onepill.com. There's another one called GetSmartAboutDrugs.gov.
GetSmartAboutDrugs.gov.
Spelled out, yep.
Okay, and what was the other one?
Onepill.com.
Onepill.com. All right. Thank you, Sheriff, and we'll stay up to date, and listeners be listening for updates from the Sheriff's Department on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You're listening to News Talk 730 KLOE Goodland. This is the Rocking M Radio Network.